I had gone to Vietnam for 3 weeks to go study over there, and my younger sister was going through my books, and she found a picture of me kissing my friend or my girlfriend, and and so she showed it to my mom, and because she was 10, so she was like, "What's this?" And so she freaked out, and she showed it to my mom. And when I got off the plane, my best friend and my older sister were like, "You might not want to go home right now because your mom just found out." And I was like, "What? Like, how? Are you kidding me?" And so at that point, when I was 21, my mom told me that was the worst thing I could do, to tell. Like, I couldn't. She's like, "Don't tell any of your aunts or uncles. That's the worst thing you could do. That's the worst betrayal." And and then also I had to move out of my house like right away because she was just really upset. But she did tell me that she loved me. She was like, "I love you, but like this is not acceptable." And she knew my girlfriend, and she was like, "I don't ever want to see her here again." Like, so it was pretty traumatic. And I did move out like within a few months at that time because I felt like I had no choice. But now my mom, like with the most recent partner that I had, my mom, like, she was okay with her coming over. She was okay with considering her family. She was okay. She like was giving her gifts and treating her like she was part of our family. So, 14 years later, but my mom did come around.
I spent a lot of time with my aunt when I was younger. We were pretty close in age. We were only 11 years apart, and she was one of the first people in my family that I decided to come out to. It was a really scary experience. I was probably about 19 at the time. This is back in like 1996. And we sat down one time and I told her, and it was funny because her response was like, "Oh, I've been with women too." And I was like, "What, really?" And she'd never talked about that with me before, and it was really shocking because sometimes she had said stuff that I thought was like, that was anti-gay when I was growing up, and so it made me a little scared to come out to her because I wasn't sure how she was going to react. And so to hear that from her at that time, it was relieving, but then also at the same time I was really frustrated because I think it was kind of clear that I was dealing with like sexuality issues, and for like somebody that was that close to me not to say anything was kind of hurtful, to let me know that it was okay.
Homophobia is the reason why I do the work that I do. The same way that I think about how patriarchy exists and like this male dominance, I think also homophobia exists and this hatred against queer people.
I went to Sac State, and my sister was visiting me one time, and we were at the mall, and we were just walking together, and all of a sudden, like, we passed these guys like outside the mall, and all of a sudden this guy like yells out, "Hey, that's a girl, it's got tits," like really loud and in a very threatening voice. And I realized at that second that like not only was my safety in danger, but like the safety of my sister, because they don't know who my sister is in relation to me.
So it affects your everyday life.
Yeah, because you're very aware of like your environment and who's in that space, like and how people are reacting to you.
I sort of have a love-hate relationship with the media because, for example, like the images that I showed you all of Laura Aguilar in class, her photography, like in that moment I love media because it's another representation that's way outside of what I'm used to, and it helps me feel validated, like it helps me feel represented. And so in that sense, I love mainstream media like MTV or just even what's on regular television or on billboards. I really feel like that there's so much perpetuation of stereotypes that are very hurtful.
Growing up for me, it had a negative effect because at the time, whenever they showed, LGBT people on TV, it was very much kind of like the extremes of what people in general society didn't like. So it was people who were heavily tatted, who had like different colored hair, lots of piercings. Like that was the person who was queer, who was different, who you didn't want to be like, and that's what the media portrayed. Ellen was like the big kind of coming out within the media. Because she came out, it kind of lost popularity. but it spurred this movement that allowed other shows to be focused on LGBT issues. I think media has gotten better about how they portray the LGBT community, just kind of like in everyday life and what's going on. So I think that's definitely gotten better.